thank you all for coming today. And this whole session might not go the full hour, but there are just some things that we need, some information that we want to pass on to you. So I'm Yan Lee. I'm one of the Public Interest Law Career Services Coordinator. And Sienna Kaus is another coordinator. And today we also have Deborah Moss-West, Assistant Director for the Center for Social Justice and Public Interest. And today we're here to tell you a little bit about what PILCS, the Public Interest Law Career Services, does, and the two programs that we host, which are the Pro Bono Recognition Program and the Pro Bono Placement Program. So to get started, how many of you actually know what PILCS does? Okay, a few of you. Okay. So the Public Interest Law Career Services, from the name, we are a student-run program to assist law students with your career in public interest. So we host events and programs that are related to public interest. And we also give career advice to law students regarding your interest in public interest and future career after you graduate. So we have some information regarding the public interest work. One word, public interest, but the field is actually pretty huge. You can do anything from criminal law, immigration law, public health, and just a lot of different things. Pretty much everything you can do, and even IP law. If you are interested in IP law, there is a component that you can work for public interest. So there are a lot of information, and we help you to search your interest and to search the best career for you. So that's what we do, and we provide resume review services, we provide mock interview services, and we are actually currently recruiting for a new PILCS coordinator. So if any of you are interested, this is a great position if you are interested in public interest. This position will help you to be the leader in public interest. Now you will be learning a lot about public interest law in general, but also you will be meeting with employers in the public interest field, and you'll be speaking like I am doing, and teaching students. You'll get training for how to review resume, how to do a mock interview for students. So you will be standing from the employer side. So you will get all this knowledge, and you will get the network connection with the employers. So this will be a great position if you are interested in public interest. And if you are considering about applying for this position, we have a posting on Simplicity, the Santa Clara law job. I think, does anyone don't know what it is? Okay, good. And also you can email PILCS if you have any questions about the position or about anything else. Okay, so now we're going to talk about one of the programs we have, the Pro Bono Recognition Program. How many of you know what it is? Okay, just a few. Okay, so this program is for us as a school to recognize your volunteer work, the work you have done for non-credit, non-compensation, and this is a program to recognize you and to award you for the work you have done for the community. So the way we do it is, first, if you apply and then you qualify and then you apply, you will receive a very nice looking plaque saying that you are the recipient of this award. And this award means a lot to the community. A lot of them know what this is, because this is a way to show your dedication to public interest and your commitment to serving the community. So, and after in spring semester, we will host a pro bono luncheon for all the award recipients. And there you will be meeting public interest professors. The Dean of Law School usually come to this luncheon as well. So it is really a university or the law school rewarding students and recognizing students' hard work for public interest. So as you see, there are some requirements. First, you have to have at least 50 hours of non-credit and non-for-compensation work during the whole academic year, or whole year from May 1st this year to April 30th next year. So if you have done any volunteer work during the summer this year, that will qualify as the pro bono hour. And there is an application form for this program. You need to list the work you do, the organization you work for, and you need to get a signature from your supervisor. So the deadline for that submission is March 22nd at 5 p.m. And one thing, because you need to get the signature and you know your supervisor might be busy, so make sure you act early and ask for the signature early enough so that you don't miss this deadline. The other thing is, if you still need time to complete your 50-hour requirement, let's say you're doing some work during April, you can still apply. Just let us know how many hours you will be working between March 23rd to April 30th. And that way we can still award you on time and still invite you to the luncheon in spring. And we'll make sure that you actually complete. So if you are still trying to get more hours, no problem, just apply and let us know ahead of time. And the application form, you can find it on our website. We also have on the 3rd floor, our bulletin board on 3rd floor, there's some forms. Also another form explaining what the qualifications are. And also you can just come to our office. We are located on 2nd floor, the Law Career Services office on the right side at the end of the hallway. You can just come in and then we'll give you the form. So 3 ways to get the form. Okay, now more about what qualifies as pro bono hours. So you have to, the work you do, it must represent and assist persons of limited financial means or persons with limited access to legal representation. So that includes volunteering for nonprofit organizations, for your church or for government agencies. So things like clerkship, for judicial clerkship, that will count as well. And you must be supervised by an attorney, political leader, community member, or faculty advisor for your work. And like I mentioned before, you cannot receive any compensation or credit for your services. So if you are doing externship and you're taking credit for that, you cannot count those hours. However, if your working hour goes over that credit, I believe 1 credit you have to work for 50 hours. So if you go over that, you can count that hour towards your pro bono hour. And the last point is pretty much the same. So you cannot receive any other academic requirement, credit for any other academic requirement, except for the public interest social justice certification, with the Center for Social Justice and Public Interest Social Justice. So there, if you qualify 50 hours for the pro bono program, you can use those hours for the certificate program as well. So that's the only exception. Now, this is a list of some qualifying activities and non-qualifying activities. There are just a few things I want to highlight here. So if you get training for your actual work, then that training hour will count. And if you travel, if it's really far and you travel more than 30 minutes, you can count those hours as well. And if you're involved in student organization, be careful because the amount of hours you put in your student organization won't count, except for if your student organization is doing volunteer work, then that will count. But there is an exception for that. If that activity is for fundraising, then that will not count. So basically, if your student organization is doing volunteer work for the community without compensation, without any money coming back, then you can count those hours towards the pro bono recognition program. Okay, so again, the deadline is March 22nd. Please do not miss this deadline. And if you have any question about this program, feel free to email PILCS, and that's pilcs@scu.edu. So before I go to the next program, I just want to open up to question about this program. Do you have any question about the qualifying hours, how you apply, and what it is? Any question? Yes?
For the travel time, does that assume that you have a car, or is that like if you have a bike, or you have to get around by bus or whatever?
If you take 30 minutes by bike, go to work, we will count that hours. We will honor your effort on your bike. Any other questions? Okay, so now we're going to talk about the pro bono placement program.
All right, so I'm going to talk quickly about the pro bono placement program. The program, it is put forth by Public Interest Law Career Services and also the Center for Social Justice. And we put it together to assist students with getting pro bono placements, volunteer placements with local organizations. So the hours are they're volunteer hours, and they do count towards the recognition certificate that Yan was just talking about. And so it's also important what she mentioned about if you don't have the full 50 hours by March 22nd, when the deadline is, you can let us know the hours that you're still working on in your spring pro bono placement, so you can get the recognition for that. So why would you want to participate in the pro bono placement? It's a really good opportunity to get hands-on experience with local public interest organizations. It's also a resume builder. You get to include it on your resume, learn skills that you can then use as points in your resume. It's also a really good way to build relationships with local public interest organizations. You would then meet the attorneys that you're working with, and also other students that are volunteering with you. And those relationships continue to grow and build. I see people that I volunteered for coming to our career fair, or they'll know other people, and it's just sort of a really good way to network is to volunteer at organizations, especially for someone like myself that finds like networking as an idea kind of annoying. So it was a really good way to meet people in the field. And we're also going to have somebody that participated in the fall pro bono placement talk about their experience. So it's Nanaya, right?
Yeah.
Nanaya will be speaking when I'm done about her experience in the placement in the fall. So you'll get a recent student experience. So just a few little factoids about it. The amount of hours is between 3 and 10, so it's not a huge commitment. I did it as a first year, doing about 3 to 4 hours on Friday afternoons, and I found that was a great way to spend my time. The commitment depends on the organization, and we'll send out a list of the different organizations, and they list what kind of commitment that they're expecting from students. So you should sort of know what you're getting into as you sign up for it. Okay, so some of the past placements have been with these organizations. I personally volunteer with Community Legal Services of East Palo Alto, and I really enjoyed that experience. Nanaya, you were with Catholic Charities, right? Yeah, so you'll be able to give a firsthand experience of that. So those are some of the organizations, and again, when sign-ups, a few days before sign-ups begin, we send a comprehensive list of the organizations that are participating that semester, and you'll have an opportunity to be able to research the organizations and see which ones you are most interested in. So some sort of FAQ, the placements, they're going to begin the first week of February, and then they'll go through April. You get to distinguish the exact dates with the organization. Usually it works, like a week or two before the reading period is when you just start to get too overwhelmed. And that's probably, you want to let them know that that's more or less when you would want to stop, which I think is towards the end of April this semester. The sign-ups, we're going to send an email on January 16th, so right after classes re-begin, and that's the email I mentioned that's going to have the list of organizations, whether they want 1Ls or 2Ls, what kind of commitment they're looking for as far as closer to 3 hours or more like 10 hours. We're going to send that around on January 16th, so note that day. Then you have a few days to research those organizations, pick your top 2 or 3 choices, and then we're going to have sign-ups start on January 23rd at noon. And they'll end January 25th at 5. But what's really important to note, and why it's great that you're here today, the information that you're going to have that the students that aren't here aren't going to have, is that it's on a first-come, first-served basis, and the really popular placements fill up, like, I think last semester, I think the Santa Cruz District Attorney it filled up in like 5 minutes, something like that. So if you want a placement that is really popular, like the DA has been in the past, I just screwed up. Okay. Then you're going to want to sign up right at noon when they go out on January 23rd. So it's at noon, so we know no one has classes, it's fair for everybody. Do sign up right away so you can get your first choice of placement. And then they're giving out first come, first serve until January 25th. So research the organizations before sign-ups, sign up right away, and then like sort of the week after the sign-ups, you'll get an email from us receiving confirmation if you received a placement, and then we need you to respond to that within 24 hours so we can either fill the placement or give it to the next person in line. And then you will be actually at the organization from early February until mid to late April. And at this point, I think I'm going to pass it off to Deborah, and then after Deborah, we'll go from Nanaya. All right?
Hi, and mine is really fairly brief. I just come and talk just for a few minutes about just a little bit about the projects themselves. So as you know, and as was mentioned, our Pro Bono Placement Project is the newest one. It was started in 2010. And basically what we did was reached out to local legal services organizations and said, we have absolutely wonderful law students. They'd like to use their skills and energy and enthusiasm to serve the public in your workspaces? Would you like to have volunteers? And overwhelmingly, they said yes. So the thing that's unique about this project is that you get to be placed in the project. As long as you meet the minimum qualifications that they ask for, there's not a screening process. So they're not looking at your resume or things along that line. But what that also means then is that you are a representative of Santa Clara when you go in there, you're an ambassador. We are telling them that you guys are ready and equipped to do the particular job that they have there listed. So make sure that you read the announcement carefully and that you do meet what they ask for. Sometimes they say only 2L and above, and we screen for that. Sometimes they say they want you to work 5 or 8 hours. We won't, so you need to make sure that you can work 5 hours or you can work 8 hours. They may mention that there is a clinic that takes place on Thursday evenings, and that's where they want people to work. So anyway, I'm just reminding you to please take a look at the actual placement description. The other point is please treat the placement just like you would a regular internship. When we first started the project, we had a little bit of growing pains where people sometimes thought, well, I didn't, it wasn't a competitive process. Maybe they don't necessarily need me. They kind of didn't treat it with the kind of professionalism that was needed. So again, just make sure you treat it like a regular internship. Why? Because you walk away with the same type of skills, with the same type of contacts, with the same type of experience that you can in a summer placement. Also, when you start, they may have you doing one thing, but keep your eyes and ears open because there may be other projects that you can work on. Many students return either in the summer or in the fall or in the spring through their placement, so it's also a way to perhaps get a summer placement, a full-time summer placement if appropriate. Also make sure that you take a look if you are placed, and even if you're not, on the website for PILCS, there's a document, it's called Making the Most of Your Placement Experience or your pro bono placement experience. It gives you lots of tips about what you should do once you're on the placement. Things like making sure you get to know the support staff in your office, making sure you reach out to not only the attorney that you might be working closely with, but others in the office, and that you definitely walk away with at least 1 or 2 people that you can contact in the future who will speak about your work. And when you do that, make sure that you stay in contact with them, right? So you don't only want to contact them when you need something. Periodically send them an email to say hello. Let them know what you're doing. And then that way, later on, when you do need a reference, they're ready, willing, and able, and they know what you've been up to. So make sure before you leave. Occasionally, it's not the case, but most of the time, you should be able to leave with someone that's willing to be a reference for you. So keep that in mind. So now I'm going to just tell you a few things that I know you already know, but we hear this from time to time. And before coming to Santa Clara 4 years ago, I used to work at a nonprofit organization that had law student volunteers every semester, about 15 to 20 or more in the summer and 30 or so in the school year with Berkeley Law. And we would always have just a few little issues, and we hear the same thing here, where students just aren't thinking fully about etiquette. Well, one of those things has to do with appearance. So make sure that you go into your pro bono placement project at least on the first day, at least business casual, at least that. If you're not sure for the office, or if it's depending on what type of workplace it is, you might go even more than business casual. That doesn't mean that you have to wear a suit, but just make sure you're professional. Even if everyone else in your office, I see you smiling, so I want you to comment on it. So even if everyone else in your office seems as though they are dressed very casually, they may have on jeans and a t-shirt, that's not the dress for you. Why? Because they've already established themselves. People know them, their work product. For you, you just want to have that air of professionalism, especially because you're going to be there for such a short period of time. Once you get to know them, once you're really acclimated to the office, you may be able to relax that a little bit. But we all know that first impressions really count. Did you have anything to add? You're smiling here.
No, I just thought it was funny because it's interesting. I always dress up more than most of the people in the office.
Mm-hmm. But I think that you probably would agree that occasionally And I know in places where I've been before, or even here on campus, occasionally, students will just show up with something on that's just not quite appropriate. The other reason you want to do that is because if you are working with an office where people go to court or they go out to community meetings, especially with city officials, sometimes something comes up just in the moment and they have to run over. If you're not dressed appropriate, you can't go. So you miss that opportunity. So just make sure you do that. Another thing that sometimes people don't think about is just the computer and internet use. Sometimes you'll use your laptop for the work that you do there. Sometimes you'll use theirs. Just remember to always be doing their work when you're there, especially because you're there for a short period of time. But I think that holds true also for any type of summer placement at all. Just make sure you use their resources, or when you're at the office, you're doing their work and their work only. Even if every time you walk by ex-staff people's offices, you see Facebook up or other things like that, or their email. You just don't want to do that because you're there for a short period of time. And they will notice that you're doing that. They will notice that you're on your cell phone texting. They might not say anything, but they feel as though then you're not using your time wisely. Again, I know you guys already know this, but in a world where we're texting a lot and we do it quickly, sometimes we forget. I'm guilty of it as well. So remember that. Cell phones, I just talked about that. Emails, make sure that you know what the email protocol is for your office or the office that you're working in. They may ask you to communicate with someone about something. Ask them how they want you to do that. Telephone, email, what? And then, of course, make sure that your emails are proofread and are professional. Ask them how formal they want them as well. Again, this is all stuff that I'm sure you guys know, but believe it or not, people have mentioned this to us, some of the people in the placements or through the summer programs. And then lastly, remember that communication is key. When you get the email from us saying that you're placed, please respond as quickly as possible to let us know if you are going to take the placement. If there's some reason why you're hesitating, you're not sure, even email back and say, I will let you know within 5 hours. I'm waiting to find out if I get into this class or whatever. The same is true for if the organization emails you, please respond quickly to them. On occasion, we've had issues where the student didn't respond, and it's because they're trying to figure out if they can do it. But it's better for you just to let them know that that's what's going on than for them to sit and wait, because they want to get you started quickly so you can get your full 10 or 12 weeks. If you're not going to be at work or you're going to miss your time, again, communication is key. So any questions or thoughts or comments? I know this is elementary, but we kind of have to say it. No? Okay. Remember to look at that, making the most of your placement or your, I think it says pro bono. I'm going to find the exact word so you guys can take a look at it. It also talks about things like keeping a notebook of all the different tasks and activities that you do, and then that way when you get ready to add information to your resume or you're in an interview, you already have everything written down and you'll go, oh yeah, I forgot I did that, or I forgot I did that. Most of us can't remember everything that we do over the course of a semester, right? So it's just a really good way to help you with your resume.
And just to let you know, the tip will be under today's event. So on our main page, the PILC's main page, there is a list of events that we're going to have, so a future event and past event. So the document will be under today's event. You can find it there.
Thank you, Deborah. So just wanted to mention really quickly, we're going to put together a list of winter volunteer opportunities as well, if you're not sure if you can handle the commitment of the spring. But you do want to do some volunteering, or you just need a few extra hours. We're going to put together a list of places you can volunteer over the winter break, and we'll be sending that out. And now we'd like to hear from Anaya, if you want to come up and just talk about your placement, the time commitment, what you learned from it, what you took away, and then we'll just open up, people can ask you some questions about it. All right?
Hi, I'm Mirna. I was placed at Catholic Charities, and they focus mostly in immigration services. I never really was interested in immigration services, but I thought it would be something worthwhile learning about. Most of the work that we do as 1Ls, I think I'm a 1L, so the 3 other people that I intern with or work with are 1Ls, and they have us teaching immigration classes. So every Wednesday for about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, we have permanent residents from all different types of backgrounds. There's a lot of Southeast Asians in the area. There's a lot of Latinos in the area. There's a handful of African immigrants in the area, and basically they've lived in the United States for a certain amount of time, and now they can apply for their citizenship. So in order to get your citizenship, you have to be interviewed by an officer, and you have to pass a test. There's a written test, like 100 multiple choice question tests, and they get a number of multiple choice question tests, and there's also a ceremony. But basically we're teaching them about the United States history, just different important. Every week we have a different lesson. It could be about federal government, it could be about judicial government, just getting them acquainted with American history so that they pass the test, and also getting them acquainted with speaking in English and being comfortable with the officer, because most of the process is just being comfortable with the officer and how comfortable you are with speaking in English. So a lot of them, English is their second or third language, so just being conversational is a lot of what we do, and teaching them history. And also helping them fill out the form. So that's part of the application. In order to apply, you have to fill out an N400. So going through with them line by line, making sure that everything's correct. If one thing is wrong and they get in the interview, then that's automatic dismissal. And they have to try again in a couple of years to get their citizenship. So it's very important that their information on their form is correct, and that they go into the interview knowing all their information, which is pages and pages. So that's some of the work we do. And like she said, we have a clinic. So I think the Catholic Charities, along with other nonprofit organizations, have a clinic. They have one on Saturday. They've had one before where they have local attorneys come and help them fill out the information. So all these services are free through Catholic Charities, whereas somebody else who's applying for citizenship might have to pay the full amount. Catholic Charities makes it in half. They just attend 2 or 3 classes and go through the interview process and through the line items on the application with them, so that they know that they're passing the test through them. So it's to help people who might not have the funds to apply citizenship. So it's a very rewarding experience, I guess. My parents are immigrants, and they just became citizens, I think, like 5, maybe 7 years ago. So it's kind of interesting to see the type of process they have to go to, and the importance of becoming a citizen of the United States, and how fortunate we are. So it was an eye-opening experience. And yeah, I don't know.
And you said something about a couple of people you worked with.
Yeah, and I think 3 people that I worked with, they're interviewing them, practicing interviewing them, and going through their application. They all became citizens. So that was exciting, and they got to vote in the last election. I think it was like 2 Latinos and 1 guy was Egyptian. So yeah, that was kind of nice to see the process happen.
So you're learning about the full immigration.
Yeah, the full immigration process is actually pretty interesting. So I think it's good to